السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let's wait for a couple of minutes, maybe, until I get confirmation that everything is working. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Yeah, is everything working, يا مولانا؟ وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Yeah, sound is. Thank you. Everything is good, yes. Thank you. I think we can begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am really delighted that we have this chance of announcing that there will be a program. We call it Hanbali Winter Program or whatever we call it on the website, and you will find the link to this program in the description, as I have been instructed to say in the description, probably the description of this live session or this video or whatever. And I believe you'll find all the details there, and you can go through these details once we finish this live session. And I will focus in this live session on the things that you will not find there, because we have not mentioned them there, because these are like details that cannot be easily included in this like short introduction to the program that you will find on the website, and that you will find on the website of Al-Madrasa Hanbaliya. This winter program is actually an offline program, so we will meet here where I live in Egypt, and we will meet probably every day for 2 weeks or so. You can find more accurate details on the website. Let's avoid redundancy and say that this is the real way of receiving al-ilm from teachers face to face, without having this I have to say that I hate the way I teach, but it's the only alternative we have. This barrier, this virtual barrier that gets me to meet you every day, probably when we teach, when we meet, when we study together in the durus. However, at the same time, it's dehumanizing the experience to a great extent, and I have to say that I, to a great extent, hate it. I do not like it, but it is the only option I have, and I always compare it to a tayammum when you do not have water. But when you do not have water for a very long time, it's very annoying. Yeah. This will be next. This will be in 2024. In winter, and you'll find all the details on the website. I believe Shaykh admin will share with you the link. However, the most important point, in my opinion, that I can offer in this uh, short session is the fact that we will have a real meeting, no barriers, no mediums, and we will actually be somehow living together, and this enhances the experience. It's like a very old-fashioned way of studying العلم in al-khanqa, like the khanqa of Sufiya. Sometimes these places of Sufiya, they all, like sometimes they had a teacher and students. They live there, they stay there. They do not have any other place to live, or like their lives, all their lives, they live there, and they do everything there, eat there, study there. Even when they become teachers, they become teachers there, or maybe they go somewhere else, but mainly they spend a lot of their time at the same place, studying, working on the same things. It's very beautiful. Same thing happened in the very old-fashioned schools, like المدرسة الحنبلية itself. If you enter المدرسة الحنبلية here in Cairo, you'll find that it has like chambers, a lot of chambers actually. If compared with the other schools, like the Maliki or the Hanafi or the Shafi'i, you'll find that it is the smallest school probably, but yet it has chambers where students live. Same thing can be found in Jami al-Azhar al-Sharif. Yani the idea itself is that people live together, stay together, study together, and we always talk about this rahim, this bond that people have when they study al-ilm, that al-ilm in general, knowledge in general, rahimun bayna ahli. It's like we are relatives, we are family. Yes, but even better than the being like blood relatives, or having this or sharing the same DNA or whatever. It's even better because we what we have in common is al-ilm, and then you try to find like more specific factors, and you find that yeah, we are all Hanabila, so this is even more specific, it's even better. And um, and if this is not uh, and if this is not what what gathers us together, what unites us, what what makes us feel this importance of having this relationship, I do not think anything else in religion will have the same effect, will help us see things the same way. And I believe there is definitely a problem then. Maybe we invested a lot of time and a lot of efforts in being modernized, and the word modernized here has so many negative connotations. So we are trying the very old-fashioned way. What is better than this is that you come and stay all year, study with the mashayikh everywhere here in Cairo. Things are not the best nowadays, but uh, something like what we used to have in the past, or what I used to have in the past. I go to Al Mashaykh every day. I go to Al Jami Al Azhar every day, and I study with the Mashaykh every day. I see them every day, and this is the best thing you can have. So our experience will be the next best thing. However, from one perspective, it has an element um, that is usually rare nowadays. To have this element, this is quite rare nowadays. The idea that we will spend together a lot of time. So we have six. You'll find this on the website, I believe, in the link. 6 hours of durus. Definitely, we will not study 6 consecutive hours per day or a day, but we will probably study like 2 hours, 2 hours, and 2 hours, while having breaks and like time to pray, to eat, and other things. 6 hours a day, this is very good. If you study 6 hours a day, this is very good. And if you receive those 6 hours a day, this is brilliant in my opinion. This actually I chose 6 hours because this was my this was this like a typical schedule of the durusa I used to attend in Jami al Azhar al Sharif, especially on Saturdays. Friday is off. No durus on Friday. Probably this was most of the time. No durus on Friday. Saturday, full of durus, and Tuesday is also full of durus. 6 hours on at least 6 or 7 hours on Saturday. 6 or 7 hours on Tuesday, and sometimes on Thursday. This inspired me to do the 6 hour thing, and I believe if you just spend 6 hours in durus, then you study after the 6 hours. I believe this is very good. Um, Another thing that inspired me was the fact, yeah, the fact that I was a student. I went to the university at the same time I was seeking al-ilm. So the university takes a lot of my time. It's far away from home. I spend 4 hours a day in like commuting, and it requires me to work hard in order to pass the exams, to pass the in order to get a high score or high GPA or whatever. And I found that it was really difficult to see al-ilm. I was studying al-ilm every day, definitely, but I found it really difficult, and I found it much easier whenever I have like a spring break or summer vacation or whatever. And the winter break, however, this was the shorter one. It used to be like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, maybe a month. And I always had, because I like winter and I do not like summer, and I feel more active in winter and I can do more things in winter. I used to plan the winter break very carefully. Besides going to the durus, I used to study all the time, and I found that it was like a camp or something. Like I'm very concentrated, very focused, doing nothing, sleeping poorly, and working all the time, studying all the time. Uh, but this reminds me of the same thing before going back to the university for uh, for the spring semester. I am, yes. I will try to go through your questions and your comments after finishing, inshallah. I'm not going to take a lot of time. 6 hours a day we study together. I teach you 6 hours a day. I think the books are, I have already given a list that we will be studying, and I left it open. I can add books, I can add more books. I gave like a list. These things will be covered, and more than that will be covered, hopefully. I do not like to be restricted to this list, but we will cover everything in it and more. What is more, let's say, I have not really determined anything yet. Besides the list. So these are the intensive lessons, and we will have sessions of reading, and this is really precious. Besides meeting and studying actually at the same place, having the sessions of reading without a medium. The medium is always a problem, even from a technical perspective. In Ulum al-Hadith, it is problematic, even though I believe, and the vast majority of scholars believe, that these mediums do not affect the authenticity of the reception or of receiving what you've heard in the majalis of al-Hadith. I believe that the absence of this medium, the real meeting, as I said before, when I was working in one of the madaris here in Cairo, when they introduced this idea, the idea of the online attendance, so students can attend online, it's your choice. some of the students, some of my students, some of you actually started mocking them, mocking these students, the Egyptian ones who do not come to the dars, and they just attend online, and these students said something like, yeah, these students, they live like 10 kilometers away from the Shaykh, but they attend online. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, they mocked them, and they deserved, yeah, they deserve to be mocked. But but the issue is, um, as I say, I am sure that when we gather together, the ahadith, or the ahadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the angels surround us, that we receive the rahmah, the barakah, and all these things that you read about in the ahadith, that these ahadith that encourage you to study and to go to al-mashayikh. I am sure that they apply to people when they meet, when we meet together in the same place. I am not sure. I hope it's the same case for online meetings and online durus. I hope so. I really hope so. I most of the time I teach like this. Yeah. Uh, yeah. But you can never be certain about this. A real gathering is different from this virtual one, and this virtual one, even though we try hard to make it like a real meeting, to respect all the protocols, actually, one of the reasons why we are reading the books of al-adab in the madrasa online is that we learn these protocols so that we appropriate them in our online meetings. But it's nothing like a real gathering. And I do not think you would blame me if I say, yeah, I see how selfish I am in planning something like this, because I am the party, or I am the one who is harmed the most when I teach online. Yes, because I find that I can I can endure loneliness. Actually, I prefer loneliness, isolation, solitude, and everything. But there is a very specific, yeah, very specific feeling of loneliness. The loneliness of I do not. I hate using this word to describe myself, like the loneliness of a scholar, of a shaykh, yeah, or a person who is having this responsibility of teaching, or so. I feel lonely all the time, because where are the students? I do not have them, and uh, and those who are those whom I hold dear in my heart, they are far away from me, and they are even closer to me than my family and everything, but they are really far away from me. And yeah, this I'm saying this, and I am a person who does not have friends, does not have family, does not have close people, and I like this. Actually, I prefer it like this. I have always preferred it like this. Most of the time I have preferred it like this, and sometimes it gets really difficult, but most of the time it's not. And this is how I feel when it comes to the students. They are far away from me, and it does not it does not seem natural this way. So I think we have to plan for these programs, not in the 4 seasons or anything. Yeah, only in winter. It's the only weather I can tolerate. Or the maybe we yeah, we do it so in the so the yeah, maybe 2 different winters, like the winter of somewhere in the south, and the winter of somewhere in the north. we can figure this out later, inshallah. We will do readings. This is very important. Probably 2 hours a day. So besides 6 hours of studying, 2 hours of reading, and um, there will be no room for doing anything else. And you have to take this seriously if you consider something like this. It will be a very difficult time for me uh, because I do not spend all this time, all these hours teaching. It will be a very difficult time for me, but it will be more difficult for the student, and you will find that you are finding some difficulty in what you are doing. And I'm not sure why why would anyone think that this will be easy, or like something that does not really change anything about the way you live your day. If you think that nothing will change, then I think, if this is how you think about it, and if you think that nothing will change, it's the same thing that I'm doing every day, then this is not for you. And this is and think about it logically, you should not come, because nothing will change. It will be a very difficult time. I'm not saying that you will not enjoy it. I enjoy al-ilm. So these difficult times of studying al-ilm, I enjoy them. And if you are like me and you enjoy al-ilm that much, and the company of your brothers in al-ilm and your family in al-ilm, then you'll definitely enjoy it. But uh, it's like anything that is beneficial. You get to enjoy it, but maybe there is a price that you pay. This price is the difficulty that you encounter. So I wish we could gather like 40 people for fiqhi reasons that I will not mention here in this in this live session. I wish we could gather 40 people. I think that the number is limited, and this is my request. And I believe like 15 people or so. I'm not sure if we can even take more than that. Um, and most importantly, definitely, if you do not like التصوف, if you find التصوف something that, يعني probably I am not the person, the right person for you. If you do not like tasawwuf, if you do not find the tasawwuf يعني, an essential part of your practice, because we will be doing al-adhkar together, we will be doing if you have awrad, you will definitely have time to do your awrad on your own. If there is a special tariqah that you follow, if there is no tariqah that you are following, or if it's the same thing that I am following, then we will do the awrad together, and we will depend definitely on المصباح في أذكار المساء والصباح, Shaykh al-Manbaji, a book that I have memorized, I believe, when I was much younger, and it could be one of the books that we read together, because we will be doing al-adhkar wal-awrad together, besides studying and and reading together. Everyone will have, because this is how I like my day to be. We definitely need time to be alone, or need time to be on our own. However, most of the time will be spent together, because this is the best use of our time during this program. One last, I think I've covered everything, and one last important thing is, yeah, I think if we are family, and this is how we feel about scholars who taught us, whose books we read in the durus, people who died and left us great treasures, great like gems that we read every day in our durus. Egypt happens to be one of the greatest, has always been actually one of the greatest, if not the greatest place that like produced scholars and great minds in the ulum of Sharia. And I think that this is one of the reasons why this program has to be here, because we get to visit the graves. Uh, yeah, I think by now, if yeah, I think I think I eliminated all Wahhabiyya. There is no way a Wahhabi comes to this. We will be visiting the graves of scholars, especially scholars whose books are read in the durus of al-ilm in general. Some of them have been some of these scholars. We read their books in our durus, and other scholars, Hanabila, very few actually, and probably most of them were just Qadiri scholars. Uh, but as you know, these are the people from whom we uh, seek al-barakah. Yes, the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the people from whom we seek this barakah. And I think it will be I do not think it is appropriate or polite for people to come here without visiting uh, at least the names, the scholars whose fadl is something that we cannot deny, especially people who influenced us in our studies, in my studies, in your studies. Wallahu musta'an. I think I've covered everything, and I believe we can finish this live session. But let me see if there is anything. If you have any questions, please ask these questions. But do not ask me about like very detailed questions. You'll find all the details on the website. I am not even well acquainted with the details on the website. I have an idea of what's going to happen, but I do not have any. So you can ask me about things that I'm planning to do, things, decisions that I am making, but not the admin stuff. If you understand what I mean. Um, Thank you so much for please, if anyone is visiting the Prophet ﷺ, convey my salam and seek his forgiveness. Barakallahu feekum. Yeah, thank you so much. Inshallah, there are more than one actually. Yeah, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Jazakumullahu khair. I am based in Cairo, yes. Ya Rab, Ameen Ya Rab. Shukran jazeelan. If you have any questions, go ahead, please. And yeah. People who are unable to attend catch some of the readings, or is it exclusively in person? I think we have to. I think, and I can't give a definitive answer. I think there will be a way to attend these durus online, but we do not want to. I mean, what is the point then? If we succeed in everything that is needed in order for this to work, if it's working, if it's going to work, we can then allow people to attend online. At least they will attend the durus and the readings, yes. But only the planned ones, yes. Only the planned ones. You understand that there will be things that that we do not. Probably it will be decisions that you take. Maybe I take the decisions today and I start teaching it tomorrow, or we give it extra hours, or so. Yeah, at least the planned ones will be. Yeah. on Zoom or something, like the same way we teach our durus in madrasa. Uh, if definitely any discussions are fine. If we are staying together, we will have plenty of time to discuss contemporary topics or whatever. Yeah, fine, sure. Hmm. Yeah, the books we that we'll be reading a part of a certain book. Like what? This is the same thing that we do in the madrasa. So we'll be reading half of the book or this chapter in this book. By the way, both ways are traditional ways of studying. Like, yeah. I think I think there is a frequently asked questions on the website. So you have to check these first. If I were you, I would do this. Check them first, and I think you can always send them an email. If the admin wanted, if one of the mashayikh, the admins, if you want to instruct al-mashayikh, يعني, please go ahead. Hmm. Huh? What is this? Uh, the position. Where is Allah? Let's talk about this later, ya Mola. These questions are. What is the level of Arabic required to attend this intensive? Very, very good question. Thank you for asking this. I should have covered this. My apologies. I do not think that you will need to have any. If you have a basic level of in the Arabic language, like you can recognize these are Arabic letters, and you can probably figure out the basics of the Arabic language, the basics from the perspective of a person who was born and raised in the West. This is what I not the basics like al-Ajurumiyya, for instance. No, I think this is working. Let me try to put it in a different way. If you have an open mind and if you are willing to learn, I think there will be no obstacle. We'll be studying in English anyway. Actually, it is tailored for people to study English the same way we study in the in the madrasa. There will be things that I can't say in I can't explain in English. The same thing happens in the durus of the madrasa online. And then I say something like, I have already explained the concept. I will just dig deeper, yes, or give more benefit, or say something that is quite advanced in Arabic language. You have not missed the benefit, the general benefit, what has to be covered, but the extra thing, yeah, you've missed it. I do not think that this is a problem for most people. If you miss the extra thing, um, but I have already covered the basic thing, that the obligation of the time, something that has to be covered now in this, we cover it, and then I say something that cannot be explained in English. But most of the time, even things in the language itself, sometimes I explain them even in English. Yeah, to fully grasp it, you have to understand some Arabic. Maybe you have to be intermediate in the Arabic language. But if you are a beginner, if you know the basics, if you like, even if you do not know the basics, but you have an open mind, to oh, what is the problem? Yeah, you can. Yeah, please follow the instructions of that is provided. Yeah. So working with them, balancing family life. Yeah. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Um, I do not have, I do not, you see, I do not like the radical, I do not like a radical way of doing anything. I, I'm always into taking like very small steps in changing anything. After saying that, I can't say that there is a way to balance. Al-ilm is your profession. This is how I see things. And you have to be professional about it. Yeah, and even my diet when I was a student. Now I eat. Now I do not study. I teach. I do not study much. But when I used to study like 20 hours a day or 8 hours a day, even my diet was like tailored to meet this goal. It's not a very healthy diet. It's not even healthy. Actually, somehow it is harmful. Not to a great extent, but it's somehow it was harmful. It's like when you hear in Nawawi, Nawawi does not eat vegetables or fruits because they affect him negatively, or this is what yani, how he thought about fruits and vegetables. Um, so I do not think there is a way of balancing anything. This is my opinion. But you'll find another sheikh who tells you, okay, you can study al-ilm, but you do not have to be really serious about it. It's better than nothing. I respect this point of view. It's better than nothing that you study some of al-ilm. I respect it, but I am afraid that this is what leads to half scholars, and half scholars are worse than ignorance. And I'm afraid this is the thing that we have to fight and resist. So al-ilm has the priority, nothing else. If you have family, you have obligations, you have to fulfill these obligations. But first, you have to talk with your family about the priorities and what you are doing. And if they do not believe in the same thing, I'm not sure. I think so maybe you have to give up. Al-ilm is not for you, or you have to convince them. Yes, or you have to make different choices. I'm not the best person to tell you what to do in your life. I'm not. This is not what I'm doing. But I can tell you that unless you take al-ilm seriously, unless it's your profession, then the harms are much more than the benefits. This is my opinion. What do you do to make the mashayikh, the admins, delete your comments, restrict you on these things? Please try to behave yourself. Internet people. After an intensive course like this, you talk about the capability of the students. When it comes to al-ilm, I'm not sure. I'm not the real doer of things. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can't promise you something that like what you find in the university. Like after this course, you should be capable of having a working understanding of physics. No. No. A concept that takes people a year to understand, sometimes you spend one night studying it and you get it. Why? Allah is the real doer of things. Yeah. If I try to approach your answer differently, because I've already given the answer I want to give. If I try to approach your question differently, I would say something like, they will benefit or they will learn, and I think they will be able to have the same lifestyle if they are really dedicated when they go back home on their own. I doubt that any of my students study 8 hours a day. Yeah? I think they will be able at least to do this when they go back home. وجزاكم الله خير. Thank you so much. May Allah keep you healthy as well. And yeah, thank you. And I appreciate the emoji. Yeah. How can we fight laziness? I believe it's a mental state. Yeah, I am a very lazy person, by the way. I want to do everything. I want to save my efforts, and I think it's just a mental state. If you are convinced that something needs to be done, something needs to be accomplished, I do not think that you will find yourself lazy in this thing. Yes. It's a matter of conviction then. Yeah. That's why people have to sit before taking the decision of becoming students of knowledge, or even after taking the decision, probably they see that they have not been serious enough, so they have to sit with themselves and say, why am I doing this, and what's going to happen, and am I dedicated or not, and very basic questions. Yeah. For instance, something that help a lot of people, but they do not do it because they think it's not the good adab or the good way of doing things, is I have to be a scholar, I need to be a scholar, and I'm studying in order to be a scholar. So you say, yeah, this is arrogant. No, you're studying for the sake of Allah. Khalas, you are stupid. If this is how you think that it's studying for the sake of Allah versus studying to become a scholar, you are a stupid or a Wahhabi, or a stupid Wahhabi. Yeah. This is the only intention, that the only working intention in studying knowledge is to study in order to be a scholar. You will be a scholar, or you may be a scholar, you may not be a scholar. Allahu A'lam. At some point you will figure out, because not all people become scholars. People get hindered. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not will that they become scholars. But it's the only working intention, whether you become a scholar or not. Yeah. Something like this, if you want to become a scholar, you find that you're not lazy. If you really want to become a scholar, because you see people and they study al-ilm, my colleagues in the past, some of them, I would say to one of them, do you want to become a scholar? This is what we aim at. Yeah. He says no. This person in particular said, no, I just want to become a chemistry teacher. You see, I can't blame him, but this is a very honest answer. Yeah. If the question is too controversial, can I ask it on Instagram? Allah يحفظكم يا سيدي, جزاكم الله خير. How can we fight? I'm not sure what the question is. Memorizing Al-Quran. So the two options I have in your question is quickly but weakly, or slowly and strongly. لا. Quickly but weakly. Quickly but weakly, and when you finish, revise all the time you want. You have to go through Al-Quran, all of it. Yes. Special, and this comes from a very specific perspective that I have. The Hifz al-Quran, memorization of the Quran, is fard kifaya. So if you do it weekly, it has already been fulfilled. Yes. I can't say I can't tell people do not do it. I usually tell people you have to study al-ilm. I've seen some of the famous Shaykh, they tell people, how do you become a student of knowledge without memorizing the Quran? It's a technical matter, no emotions here. Yeah, I find it ugly that a scholar becomes a scholar without memorizing the Quran. I find it strange and ugly. I agree with you. But this is a technical matter. Studying al-ilm is fard kifaya, and fard kifaya has not been fulfilled. Memorizing the Quran is a fard kifaya. This fard kifaya has been fulfilled. Pursuing this fard kifaya, you are not actually pursuing it as an obligation, you're pursuing it as a recommendation. While being capable of pursuing al-ilm, which is an obligation that has not been fulfilled, and you are capable, yeah, you will be يعني, blamed if you do not fulfill this. Quickly but weakly, yeah, I agree on this one. And then after finishing one khatma, one time of memorizing the Quran, you can always revise, especially if you are into learning another قراءة, يعني a different recitation. Conquer the matrix. I see that your questions are being yeah, a lot of questions have been deleted. If you yani, maybe you are saying something that is different from the topic we are discussing. Maybe you are not wording your questions properly. What about, yeah, this is a very good idea. If you do not have any interest in what I'm saying, maybe you should spend time doing something else. If you find it something that you find interesting, listen to it. I know you have a lot of questions. You are ignorant. I am ignorant. We have like as we call it, a pile of ignorance. So anything that you do not know, you have not known yet, put it on that pile of ignorance, and move on. Continue your life trying to get thing while trying to get benefit where you find it properly. Yeah, and I think you can always ask the. I will name a very specific person. You can send your questions to Sheikh Navid. Yeah, try to find him on Instagram. And no fiqh questions. I'm not sitting. No, I'm not allowing fiqh questions. This is not the purpose of this. The priority is to study the other disciplines of al-ilm, not al-Quran. Why? Because this person is, my assumption, a grown-up, mature, sane, not a child. Yes, not a 10-year-old boy or girl. A 10-year-old boy, according to the reliable composition of the madhab, does nothing but al-Quran. You become a mukallaf, now you'll be held accountable for this. You are spending time on memorizing the Quran, but you're not studying it. Yeah? This is wrong. My opinion, I find it ugly that you become a scholar without memorizing the Quran. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa I do not think you can make yourself enjoy anything unless you are like into these things you see on YouTube and other platforms. You are the master of your own destiny, and and you have to face yourself in the mirror and say, I will enjoy learning Arabic. I do not think things work like this. After saying this, Arabic is a very beautiful language, and if you want to see how beautiful it is, study its poetry. Begin with poetry, even if read translated poetry. I have a very bad experience because we study Mutanabbi in the madrasa. The translation is sometimes it's really awful, but this can be like the first step. Yeah. At the end of the day, maybe you will not enjoy it, صح? Maybe you will not enjoy it. It's a necessity, something that you have to do, especially if you want to become a scholar. Yeah. By the way, you can still benefit people if even when you speak a different language, even you do not have to author in the Arabic language or to teach in the Arabic language. It is something that you have to do. I do not think you will have to do anything until you come. The only I really recommend for all the students, everyone actually, not people who are coming or planning to come. Yes, there is a very important course. Please go take this course. You might not find it something that you are used to. You might find it strange. You might find it. You might find it. Yani not the most beneficial course. But I promise you, you are wrong. You are missing something actually. And if you cannot take this course, you have to read this book. And you do not have to take it with us in the madrasa. Take it anywhere if you find it anywhere. Even if you have a very good Shaykh, go to the Shaykh and ask him to, 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 to read this book with you, to teach you this book, if you really think that he is qualified. Which is تذكرة السامع والمتكلم في أدب العالم والمتعلم. People are interested in studying al-fiqh. If we announce Zad al-Mustaqna next week, we will have like 50 students in the dars. Yes, 50, and we can exaggerate. And actually, in the durus of al-fiqh, less famous books, when we have more students. I think in Umd al-Talib we have, I think much more than that number. This book is teaching you manners, not manners like how to become a good friend, a good husband. The protocols of studying al-ilm, how to act as a shaykh, and this is it has like installments though. So we taught the first part of the book, then the second part of the book, third part of the book. You should start actually with the second part of the book. This is the most important one, and this is the priority. I would like for everyone to study books in the order of the order that the author intended and everything, but for the sake of, I'm not sure what to call it, practicality, whatever, go study the part about the manners of a shaykh. You have to study this before coming, and you have to study this even if you do not have an intention to come, and you have to study this even if you are not even if you are not becoming a scholar, you have no intention of becoming a scholar, you have to study this part. What are the protocols for a shaykh in order to judge al-mashayikh actually? This is the standard against which you judge al-mashayikh. Does he respect the protocols? I'm talking about Ibn Jama'a, a scholar, Qadi al-Qudah in both Egypt and Syria or Greater Syria, and a book written 700 years ago or so. Yeah, this is very important in my opinion. So you take this part about the manners of a shaykh or the protocols of a shaykh, then you take the part of the manners of the student or the protocols of the students. If you take these two parts, fine, miss the rest of the book. Yeah, it's not the best behavior, but miss the rest of the book. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed because people come, like we announce something in al-fiqh and people come, a lot of them, and we announce something like this. Yeah. Anyway, but it's a part of this style. This style is based on your choices. This is the old-fashioned way. It's the responsibility of the student to choose what he is studying, and we will always allow him to study whatever he wants. It's a very, shall I call it civilized? I'm not. I do not want to use this word, but this is the word that developed, civilized. These are the words that people may use in describing such a thing. Democratic, this would be a disaster. Yeah, it's fine. Let's see. I'm annoyed that a lot of questions are being deleted, and not because the admins are deleting them, because probably the people who do not understand what is this. What are the methods you benefit from visiting? This is a very good question, actually, and I can't summarize an answer. I will try to mention few steps. There are more to do. I can tell you more. I can give more steps, but I will mention things like necessary knowledge that you cannot miss. First of all, you have to believe that Allah is the real doer of things. So this is probably anything that we will say, yeah, will be established on the fact that you believe that Allah is the real doer of things, the real and the only doer of things. Secondly, this is your family, one way or another. Yeah, maybe distant family. Yeah, but this is your family. Thirdly, when you visit them, you acknowledge their fadl, their virtues, and the favor and the benefit that you received from them, and the favors they did you. Yes. This in itself is a worship, not visiting their graves, acknowledging their fadl. Yes. Besides being bir, wasila, you're connecting with them, and you are, yeah. I think finally, and this is really important, at least from yani in my opinion, um, I think I've already covered this spiritual part. When it comes to knowledge, study the Shaykh before visiting him. If it if we are talking about a scholar in this case. For instance, I insisted on reading the books of Sidi Sha'rani, a lot of his books, not all of his books, a lot of his books, before taking the decision of teaching his introduction to Ulum al-Hadith. And then after doing all this, and before teaching, I started going to him, seeking his permission. So this is a very good thing, to seek his permission. Yes. And to seek his barakah, and to read to him. And I am categorizing this as the ilmi part, or the, yeah. So this is not even the spiritual part. Yeah. Wallah al-musta'an. I have, I think I have to go now. I have a lecture on mutawatir or tawatur. I promise to give this. Yeah. Well, let's see if there is anything else. وجزاكم الله خيرا. بارك الله فيكم. بارك الله. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. I think yeah, I think this is it. Thank you so much for attending this live session. I hope if any of you are students in the madrasa, we will be having a lecture, a special lecture on tawatur. It is a new thing that I'm going to say. It's not. I'm not just trying to make people familiar with this concept of the tawatur. I have something new to offer, and I'm going to teach it tonight, inshallah. Now, actually. Barakallahu fikum. I hope I get to see you in the lecture. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.